If you're a bookworm like me who grew up in the 1990s and early 2000s, there's probably one place that fueled your childhood bookworm tendencies. MPH Bookstores. But like that one viral nasi lemak that suddenly disappeared, what actually happened to this legendary chain? Why don't we see them around as often anymore? Hey guys, it's Ryan Goware. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're taking a trip down memory lane, which might hit you right in the nostalgic feels. But right before that, if you like my contents on nostalgic Malaysian brands and urban adventures, remember to like, subscribe and share. It would only take a few seconds of your time, but it will go a long way in helping me to fuel my motivation to produce more quality contents for you. Thank you so much. Now, let's dive right back to MPH Bookstores. Remember those places? Feel like you could get lost in a jungle of books as a kid, right? There are book talks, book signings, and book launchings. Heck, MPH was a heaven to us millennials. Anyway, to know how MPH became an iconic bookstore it is for Malaysians and Singaporeans, let's start with the grandfather's story. Or great-grandfather's story, because we are talking 1890, guys. Not even a bookstore yet. Picture this, Singapore, a printing press started by this American missionary fella, Captain W.G. Sheller-Beller or William Girdlestone Sheller-Beller. They call it the Amelia Bishop Press back then. Think old school printing, cranking out religious stuff and school materials for the church. Legit OG vibes. Fast forward a bit, 1906 hits and bam, they level up, officially changing their name to the Methodist Publishing House, MPH. See the connection? Sneaky, right? Because they were starting to print more secular books as well. And it was that year itself that MPH also began printing the Malay literature series as well, such as Sejarah Melayu and Hikayat Abdullah. Then, in 1927, it changed its name again to Malaya Publishing House, which upon the founding of Malaysia in 1963 was again changed to Malaysia Publishing House. It has as many name change as your Hollywood celebrities would have with plastic surgeries. MPH itself was like the Kim Kardashian of the book world, sought after by many and changed hands by many. In 1966, it was bought over by a Chinese-Indonesian and absorbed into a consortium. Then, after that, it was sold to a Hong Kong consortium, and then after which it was acquired by a Singaporean businessman by the name of Simon Cheong. It was only in 2002 that it finally came back into the hands of Malaysians in the form of Jalan Inspirasi Sendirian Berhad, owned by none other than the tycoon Tan Sri Dato Sheikh Mokhtar Al-Bukhari. As of today, Jalan Inspirasi is known as MPH Group and owns MPH Bookstores, Malaysia and Singapore. Throughout the early 20th century, MPH was building an empire, man. They weren't just importing some Angmo books. They were printing local gems, textbooks for all those future pandais, and even newspapers. They were the whole package: print, publish and sell. That's like having the entire nasi kandar operation under one roof. Alright, let's talk the good old days, the golden era. For those of us who grew up before everything went digital crazy, MPH was the spot. Think massive stores in prime locations. KL's Jalan Tun Razak, Mid Valley Mega Mall, and One Utama. These weren't some tiny shops, they were mega stores. Multiple sections of pure reading goodness. You could spend hours just lepaking, discovering new words between the pages. And MPH wasn't just about selling books, it was about the culture of reading, author signings, book launches. It was a happening place. I remember this used to be my favorite place to get my favorite storybooks as well. Enid Blyton, Mr. Midnight, Singapore's Ghost Stories. What other books do you remember getting here in MPH? Leave your comments down below. But just like with all good things, they will eventually come to a stop. It was the early 2000s and the dot-com era. The world had become online. In US, companies like Amazon was offering books online and was beginning to threaten well-established brick-and-mortar bookstores such as Borders. But still, MPH was quick to adapt, offering their MPH online since 2000. However, competitions in the Malaysian book scene was getting tougher. MPH was the OG, no doubt. But then, other players entered the game. In 2005, Borders for a while offered a different vibe. Cafes, comfy chairs, making it more of a atas hangout spot for bookworms. And in 2006, Book Access, founded on the pretext that books should be made affordable, also posed a huge threat to MPH. It didn't help too that the quality of MPH books were beginning to decline. I remember when I was a kid back in the late 90s or early 2000s, MPH bookshelves were still selling lots of interesting books like Annie Blyton, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, but then not sure starting from when, they started to sell more subpar local romance novels and dakwa books. Then in year 2020, an unthinkable event happened that changed MPH forever. The pandemic happened and one by one, these iconic stores started shutting down. That KL branch on Jalan Tun Razak, gone. The one you used to visit after school, closed. MPH explained that this was because they were moving into the digital age. While they always had online presence, the pandemic just accelerated it. Although the company eventually managed to survive the pandemic, several of its stores, including those in Aman Jaya, Sunway Geo, My Town, JB City Square, Kinta City, Maidin MITC, Taman University, Subang Parade, and of course, not to forget their first mega store in Mid Valley that had opened in 1999 had to close after almost 30 years. It went from 29 stores before the pandemic to only 11 currently. Now, MPH did experience some sort of revival in recent times, especially with its flagship store opening in TRX back in 16th of May 2024. Spanning over 21,000 square feet and with a sleek, clean design, it vows to bring back the book culture. But well, only time will tell if this strategy is worth pursuing. So, what led to MPH decline? Firstly, I would say these are just my own opinion and there are really no right or wrong answers to this. So do leave your comments down below if you feel I've left out any part. First, of course, is the internet. Nowadays, it's really easy to search things online. But before that, back in the early 2000s, you have blog, then you have YouTube, then vlogs. People just consume information less from books anymore. Just ask yourself, when was the last time you picked up a physical book? Not podcast, not ebook, but a physical book. Second, competition. Borders, Book Access, Popular. Each one of these bookstores has their own distinct difference. For example, Book Access was affordable, and then Popular was more towards the Chinese. Thirdly, of course, quality of their selection. The story of MPH is a mix of nostalgia and sadness. It's a tale of a Malaysian and Singaporean institution that brought the joy of reading to a generation that didn't have digital devices back then when they were growing up. But it's also a wake-up call about how fast the world changes. We'll always remember those aisles, that smell of new books when you flip them open, and of course, the thrill of finding our next adventure within those pages. What are your best MPH memories? Drop them in the comments below. Did you have a favorite MPH store? What book did you discover there? Let's share those stories and keep the memory alive. Don't forget to smash that like button if you remember the MPH days, subscribe for more Malaysian deep dives, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next nostalgic adventure. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.